go live, talk about mediumship and see, but I'm just going to click live and see what happens. And it says that we're live, and looking at our things, we can see if we are live. Yes, we're live, Kay. Let's go live, talk about mediumship and see, but I'm just going to click live.
That looks wonderful.
See what okay, so we're live, but I can hear myself in the background for some reason.
It did show up on the link.
And it says that we're live. Okay, so here we go. So we're live. Right, Kay, so we're live on this Mediums Academy for the first time. I hope everyone's turning up and enjoying it. If you are joining us right now, yeah, just feel free to join us on this Mediums Academy channel and subscribe to us, and you'll be kept up to date. Hello, Alan. Welcome.
All right, we've got one person, Alan. Hello. How are you doing? Okay, this is exciting.
Yeah, a place where you can, ask your questions about mediumship. Mediums Academy. It's going to be interesting how many people turn up, right, Kay?
It's always interesting, Jason. It's always interesting. Good. So I'm just looking for a link real quick.
Okay.
And then I'll be back with you. So, okay, cool. I'm just going to check and see what's happening on Facebook. I want to see what, if it's, you have to click on the link or if it's just rolling. You still there, Jason?
I'm still there.
All right, good.
I'm still there.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to get out of this. Perfect. All right. Well, we've got Alan.
We've got Alan. So going live on YouTube for the first time. I don't know how many people would have made the leap from Facebook to YouTube, but we shall see. We know Alan's turned up, so that's something, and we'll see who turns up later.
Good. So what shall we talk about today?
Well, let's talk about, let's talk about, when you think about mediumship and you think about what problems arise in mediumship. Most people think, I'm going to make that connection with spirit, and then that spirit's going to give us all that information, and they find out that it didn't quite work the way they wanted because maybe the communication's not right, maybe they didn't get the blending right, or maybe their mind got involved, right?
Right. When I think about all the... I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can now.
Good.
Yeah, at first I couldn't. All right. When I think about all the things that went wrong, the list is a mile long, Jason. It's a mile long.
It's a mile long, but when you think about it, when you first starting out, and you're first making that contact with the spirit world, and you're trying to understand what they're saying, it's like, is it your mind or is it the spirit mind, right?
Right.
That's one thing. People are like, I know students say to me, they're like, yeah, but I'm not sure whether it's the spirit. I'm not sure whether it's my mind. And it's very easy to get confused, and to be able to, have the question going in yourself saying, well, I'm not quite sure what's going on, and it's like working through those little problems, you see.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part, because that goes back to trust. And trusting in yourself and trusting in the spirit world that the information that you're receiving is correct.
exactly. And
Yeah.
when we think about trust, right? And you're trusting
Hmm.
in what you're getting, trusting in the spirit world, and but it's like there are students there that they're out there. They're like, yeah, but I'm not sure how this works. I'm not sure whether it's whether I can trust this. And I know when we were putting Mediums Academy together, Kay, that we've got a section on there where it's saying, what is your, when we're working with the guides, what is your mind, what is spirit mind? That just sorts everything out very easily,
Yeah,
where
it does. And
yeah, people can feel
and
like, oh, that's definitely the spirit mind, and that's definitely my mind. Um, so that's something that I was thinking about, Kay, but also um, about about that trust. Can you trust yourself? I mean, some people are like, can I trust myself with this? Am I interpreting the message in the right way?
mm,
For people that are just turning up, just feel free to like the video. Feel free to write us a question because we've enabled the chat. So if you've got any questions about mediumship, just feel free to do that. And if you want to follow us, don't feel free to subscribe because we plan on doing more of these. Um, so, Kay,
yeah.
what do you
So,
think?
pardon?
What do you think?
I think it just goes back to making sure that we are developing ourselves well, and that as we go through this process of sitting in our own power and developing our mediumship, we're developing that channel for the spirit world to come in and communicate with us. And as we build that and develop that, our confidence um, in ourselves and in the work that we're doing, our confidence in the spirit world um, will just naturally start to take place. But it goes back to making sure that we have built the foundation of um, this whole mediumship thing. Because if we're not building a strong foundation for our mediumship, then the communication is going to break down and the trust isn't going to be there. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. You've got to build up that relationship with spirit. You know, it's like I'm just seeing what transformation lives coach. I wish I knew your name. I would mention it. You always
Yeah.
get chills when you're in a connection with spirit, right? And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I always feel a heightened awareness, and suddenly I feel the energy flowing through me, and then I just know that they're there. Um, that's something that triggers me, and I know Kay would have her sensations. What sensations do you have, Kay, when spirit
I get
connects?
the same thing, but I do get the chills as well, but I don't get them all the time. So I have to rely on my trust and my belief that what I'm getting is right. But when I know that when I get the chills, that whatever it is quite important. I also have one of my guides that uh, I can just feel her energy just swoop right in front of me. And when that happens, I know that that's another way of her letting me know this is really, really important. So, I have those little things that I use.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So welcome, Sue, and it's good to hear about Kay's tools that she uses to get in connection with spirit, right? And when I see that Sue has joined us, but also Miriam, yeah, how do you get into alignment right away to give messages? Now that's a good question. Um, for me, I've always learned in my mediumship training to sit in the power. So I know what it feels to like when I'm empowered. I've risen my frequency to a higher frequency. I know how it feels. So I just basically shine my light through myself. I connect it to the spirit world. So I just imagine it connecting, and then I just, because I visualize that and I see it, I believe it happens, and then that's when I know that I can get into alignment real quick and be able to give messages from spirit. And I think Kay would have the similar idea, wouldn't you, Kay?
Yeah, it's exactly pretty close to what I do. I just I visualize it and I just step into my power and let spirit world know. The moment I do that, they know that I'm ready to work, and spirit just steps in.
So that's great, guys. If you've got any more questions, just put your questions in here. Let us know. We like answering your questions. Today is about answering your questions about mediumship. So please feel free. Welcome, Renee.
And I just want to just confirm with, was it Miriam, Transforming Lives Coach?
Yes,
Did that
Miriam.
answer your question? Is that what you meant by that question? Right, good. Miriam. Perfect. All right. So, yeah, it just all goes back to building that foundation, Jason, and making sure that, yes, okay, good. Just wanted to double check that.
So yeah, I'm glad that was good. But it's like when you want to snap into that power quickly. I mean, we have our ways of doing it. It's like visualizing. Sometimes I use my breath and I breathe my energy up and that sort of thing. But what I've had happen sometimes, if I've had someone just turn up and they said, "Oh, I've actually got a reading," I thought, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming," and then suddenly spirit are there. So
Mm-hmm.
mostly that preparation that I do before someone comes, sometimes it's not needed. Sometimes the spirit's just there, and then at that moment in time, they can come. You can feel the sensations. You know they're there, and through doing it time and time again, you can translate that energy, that feeling, into information quite easily. I'm sure that's happened to you before now as well, right, Kay?
Yeah, and I was just thinking when you started talking about that. Sometimes for me, the spirit world is well aware that I'm about to work, and I will feel the solar plexus begin to heat on its own without me doing anything. And that's just another little signal to me. All right, spirit's ready. They're ready to work. This is already happening. And it's, when that happens, the solar plex begins to warm up within me. I know that I'm already stepping into the power without me consciously doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's great. Guys,
it's good.
thanks for connecting with us, and keep putting your questions in there so that we can answer them, because that's what it's about. It's basically about making mediumship more real, more down to earth. A lot of people call what we do, they say, "Oh, that's paranormal," but me and Kay and myself, we tend to say, well, for us, it's actually normal. I think growing up, Kay would agree with me. I thought I was just strange or misunderstood or oversensitive or whatever. But it was only later in my life that I realised that it was my mediumship that was coming to the surface. And in growing up, you become aware of that more and more. You see. What about you, Kay?
Well, I agree with you, Jason. You're a little bit strange. I agree with you on there. Um, but yes, obviously, I thought the same thing as well. That I was, I thought I was nuts when I was growing up. I didn't really understand what was happening. I acknowledged the spirit world and, went from there. So, hey, we have a question from Larissa. She wants to know, are there any tips on holding the connection for longer?
Hey, welcome, Larissa. Yeah, tips for holding the connection longer. I'd say, what I found about holding the connection with spirit, right, is that if you sit a lot in the power and you sit like every day, and you do that for 6 months. And I know that we've got on this channel, Mediums Academy, if you sign up to it, there is a sitting in the power meditation that Kay did, and it's really about raising your frequency. And what that does, that gives you such a great foundation where you can hold that connection with the spirit world longer, because you have that. You think about it, when you're building a house, if you've done all that work on the foundation, and it's like a good foundation, then it's gonna be strong. Um, I used to go and have to do like a demonstration, and I'd be making I'd have to make a connection here, make a connection there, and I could make about 10 connections, and at the end of it, I'd be really tired. But after sitting in the power and sitting in the power, sitting in the power, these days, I mean, I can do a whole night, and afterwards I'm fine. I could probably do a whole day doing these things, and still be fine, because it's all it is knowing how to generate enough energy to hold that connection for longer time. What about you, Kay?
Yeah, for me, it's sitting in the power. You're absolutely right. And then also replenishing my own energy, because I tend to get tired a lot just due to health issues that I have. So I'm constantly sitting in the power, one, to build my power so that I can last longer, but also to replenish my power from the God source as well, because it's it can be more difficult to work if your energy is depleted. So it goes both ways for me, the sitting in the power. But I also find that the more you work, um, the the longer it is that you can sustain that power. So the more practice, the more working, the more all of that. Right, we got those people
Yeah, no, better get rid
here.
of. She's in
Hi.
the. No.
What's Latifa
Hi,
doing here?
Latifu. You need to log into YouTube, because you're now live on YouTube. Um, we're doing a live on YouTube, so you're in a different place. So I think give yourself a bow to the public, and I'll welcome.
Okay, when I go to YouTube, what do I do?
You just watch, and you can sign from there. I'll give you the link, and you just go there. This is
Okay,
quite funny,
thank
right?
you.
Um,
That's funny.
Let me just put that in the chat for you there. It's in the chat for you, Latifu.
Thank you.
And you just click the link, and that'll bring you there, and then you can leave the thing. But yeah, it's better late than never, eh, Kay?
Yes.
Better late than never. And that's the thing with mediumship, becoming more open to more possibilities, right? Sue said her mediumship didn't become clear until she got into Reiki, and no, actually, that was Miriam. And Miriam, I can understand that, because when I got into Reiki, the same thing happened to me. I was absolutely, you know, I got spirit standing behind people, messages coming through, all that sort of thing, and it was the Reiki actually shifted the energy for me to see spirit, and that was something that opened me up just that little bit more. So it may have done the same to you as well. Oh, I'm just seeing that it did. And then we've got Sue, which is the Moon Garden, having a spirit present, mentally seeing them behind a sitter via online, both mental mediumship, question mark. Okay.
Having the spirit present and mentally seeing them behind the sitter. So what's the question there? Do you understand the question?
I think what she's saying is, if she's seeing and just correct me if I'm wrong, Sue, if you're seeing the spirit person standing behind someone, even if they're online, is that mental mediumship? Was that your question? You just let us know. In the meanwhile, If any of you have just turned up, welcome Jay, welcome to Larissa, welcome to people that are turning up. If you want to join the channel and follow up more of these live talks, do feel good to subscribe us. If you like what we're talking about, yeah, don't forget to like the video, and yeah, ask your questions, because we're here to answer your questions as good as possible with that down to earth touch. Welcome, Jasmine. Yes. So what Sue's saying is, if she's working with someone online and she sees the spirit standing behind them, is that their mental mediumship? Or I think, something, some people might feel that she may have slipped into the psychic. So what would you say to that, Kay?
If she's seeing the spirit communicator behind them, I'm
Yeah.
understanding that right, correct?
Yeah.
Well, if you're seeing the spirit communicator behind them and you feel that your energy is, or your vibration is up and working with the spirit world, then it would be mental mediumship. If you feel that your energy has dropped and you're moving more psychically, so that's what you have to be aware of, is which way is my energy working? Am I moving my energy out on a psychic level, or am I moving the energy up so that I may connect with the spirit world?
Yeah. Exactly. And what I find is, when I'm seeing the spirit standing behind someone,
sorry, go on. I'm sorry, go on.
It can be that your mediumship faculties are picking it up, but it can also be that you might have slipped a little bit psychic as well, and that is possible. And how to do it when you see them standing behind them, and then you can feel the energy behind you at the same time. That's when you're working mediumistically, because the thing that can happen when you see them standing behind someone is you can pick all the information about that person from the aura, from the person that's sitting opposite you online, or the person that's sitting opposite you in real life. So I always ask spirit, when I see them like that, is say, can you just come in and just give me a feeling that you're there? And then once I feel that strong connection, I know there's no chance of me slipping into the psychic abilities. Just something there.
Yeah. So what she wrote was, I had spirit behind the sitter with an online reading, and asked spirit to pop over to her. And then she wrote, so the energy determines your connection.
Spirit sitting online, but I had to ask them to pop over to me. I had spirit behind the sitter online, but had to ask them to pop over to me. Yeah, if you can see them and you can get them to connect with you behind you, that's how I feel it. And if you have that, then you've got a strong connection with them. It is. I mean, I have been sitting with people in real life where spirit have just walked in and stood next to them. And then I'm like, right, I see you walking in now. Now let me just feel that you're there. And in that, I'm communicating with spirit mediumistically and not, reading the aura.
Right.
And the energy determines your connection. You're right, Sue, because if you feel the energy coming from your solar plexus forwards, and this is a sign that you're doing it psychically, right? Because if it's coming forwards, that's normally your psychic ability working. But when you feel the energy coming in, like from the side of you or behind you, that's when you're working mediumistically, and it's just knowing the difference. And I tell you, there's nothing wrong with working psychic as long as you know you're working psychic. That's the thing,
Right. So, Miriam wants to know, do you see or only feel spirit? So for me, it's both. I mean, I feel them. Sometimes I see them. I feel them more than anything. That always happens first. I'm aware of them being within my space.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how it begins. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. I see spirit. Sometimes it depends where because this is something else, right? It depends where the moon is at. If I have a full moon, I'm firing all cylinders. If I've got a new moon, I'm just going to be feeling spirit. But even in the feeling, I can get so close to the spirit, and I can pick up information that's quite amazing because I've learned to use that. But when I've got a full moon, I can see spirit. Sometimes I see them just standing there. They're just walking in through the door. Sometimes I see them inside my mind. And you got to remember, your third eye is 360 degrees, so I can have them standing behind me or anywhere in the room, and I can see them. So that's the when my third eye is working like that. That's normally when also all cylinders are working. And I'm sure Kay would have these experiences as well. But the moon does have an effect on what abilities are working. And once you know that, you can say, "Oh, I'm not having a good day today because I'm not seeing them." No, that's not correct. You're in the full moon, which means you're feeling more. And if you're feeling more, then that's you know how to use that faculty of your mediumship. So that's something that we've learned, haven't we, Kay?
Yeah. And for me, Jason, and those listening, I followed the patterns of the moon. We had to track them. That was part of our training, and see if we found any kinds of patterns in the way we worked based off of the patterns of the moon. And at the time, I really didn't see any patterns for me. And I still really don't see any patterns. But now that I've been doing this for so long, I should probably do that again, because they say it really does affect. But yeah, for me, in the beginning, it was all seeing. I saw everything. And then it was that I had to learn how to use the clairsentience. And when that happened, I did everything through the clairsentience. My images all went away. So I was forced in a way to learn how to do a full reading just using my clairsentience. And now, obviously it's all come back together now, but everything flows through the clairsentience anyway. Your images are the words that you hear, it all comes through the clairsentience, and starts there, moves its way up to your third eye so that you can see. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Kay said that she hasn't noticed the shift in the difference. But for anyone that wants to try it, I advise you just to take note where the moon is and how is your mediumship working. Because for me, it's not that I say I'm not going to work because it's not a full moon. I only work in a full moon. Now that wouldn't be the way of doing it. You learn to work with what energy is available in the world at this moment in time. And
Yeah.
you learn to work with your own energy, because when you're working mediumistically, that's something else to remember, is like how you feel is going to make a difference in your mediumship as well. And how what's going on in your life. Are you emotional? Then you're going to feel a lot, right?
Mhm.
Are you open? Are you not? If you're not very emotional at a certain time for whatever, then you may be seeing more because you don't want to get involved in the emotions.
Right.
There are a lot of people that don't want to get involved in their emotions, and their mediumship evolves around more of the knowing stuff. Oh, I know this, I know that, or I see this, I see that, because then they can do it more abstractly and it doesn't actually affect the emotions. So,
Right.
guys, if you've got any questions, please just put them in here. This is what it's about. It's for you. And if you're enjoying what we're talking about, bringing mediumship down to earth on the ground, please like the video, subscribe to us, and yeah, let us know your questions, because we would like to answer them for you.
So I just want to add to that, Jason, that I feel that as mediums, we have to be very flexible in the way we work. We have to be flexible with our energy and our moods and all of those things that you were talking about, but we also have to be flexible in how we receive information from the spirit world. So we're always having to learn to adapt and make it work no matter what's thrown our way. So it's just it's one of the things I like about mediumship. And working as a medium is because you never really know what you're going to get, and you never know how that information is going to come to you. And I know in the last couple of readings that I've done, Spirit has brought in different it have they've brought in information in different ways that I'm not I don't normally use. So it's just always changing. So just, be open with that and be flexible enough to just allow it um, to work in the way that works, So yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't see any more questions. We got a quiet bunch today, Jason.
we're going to have to make up our own questions, Kay. Let me think. I'll ask you a question. Um, how do you communicate with your guides, Kay, and how can you build up that communication?
Um, well, I just talk to them like I'm talking to you.
You talk to your let's get this right. You talk to your guides like you're talking to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I chat with my guides. I chat with my guides all the time.
Yeah.
So I built the bond. So I built my bond with my guides, the main guides, by sitting with him daily. And when I say daily, I mean 7 days a week. I sat with my guide for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and there was no conversation, and we just bonded. Our energies began to blend, and through that blending, the bonding started to take place. He learned a lot about me. And then after that first year, the second year is when the lessons started to come, and we started to chat. I still continued to sit with him in the power. So it started that way. That's how it started. 1 year of silence. To the second year, the conversations started, and it's to where it's like I just chat with them. If I have a question about my mediumship or anything that's going on, I just send that thought out there to them. I also chat with them quite a bit in the mornings when I have my coffee. That's when they like to come in. Another time that they like to come in and chat with me is when I'm on a drive, if I'm driving somewhere.
Yeah, I try to let my guides not to interfere with my driving, but Kay, you got a good connection with them, I guess. Um, um, yeah, has daily conversations with her guides. I speak to mine, but not in a conversation wise. I would probably have to sit in the power, sit in meditation, and communicate with them that way, or just send a mental thought out to them. Like, I'd like to do something. I'd like to try something new, or I'd like to do something. I'd try something new with my mediumship, and just me sending out that mental thought to my guides, my mediumship changes. So for you guys, it's about like building up that friendship. You've got someone that's chosen to be with you, more people that have chosen to be with you for your development, not only in mediumship but in your spirituality, and they've chosen to be with you for their whole lives. So to get to know them energetically, or to get them to know them in some way that you can say, hey, I'd like to do this, or I'd like to try that, then they are there with you. Yeah. I got to know my guides mostly when I went into trance and did trance mediumship, and that's when I got to know my guides a lot more, because I could listen to the recordings afterwards of what they were saying, and that was very, very interesting. So it just shows you that every medium, like Kay and myself, would probably get to know the spirit world, or even get to know our guides in a different way, but it all brings us to the same direction. It all brings us to that opening up to spirit, to the spirit world. So that's a good thing. Renee loves that we're being open and going with the flow. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And now I lost what I was going to say.
I don't know.
I was going to
I'll just go
respond.
on. I said Dolores is saying she's learning to trust and go with the flow. You know?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, I know what I was going to say, Jason. It it goes back to that discussion that we had last week. You know, you have to find what works for you, um, and be your own medium. Really, you have to find what works because we're all just a little. You know, we're all going to the same place. We all have the same goal in mind, uh, but how we get there or the process or the journey might be slightly different.
Yeah.
So just know that,
Yeah.
you have to find what works for you.
Absolutely. And I think what you say. Everyone is taking a journey and everyone's going in a certain direction. I think that's a good thing, right? Um,
Right.
and also, there used to be this belief about mediumship that mediumship is only open for the select few, and but that's not true because why would everyone have the same chakra system, and why would everyone have that if it's not needed? Why would we all have a third eye if we couldn't use it, right?
Mm.
When you go back in history and you go back to what we used to be like, we used to be more in tune with our instincts and more in tune with our abilities and sensitivity than we are in this modern day and age. So, everyone has a possibility to develop mediumship, just like everyone can play football, but not everyone's going to be playing for the top football team in the country. But some people can, just play for the fun of it, And I think that's the difference. You can have abilities, but how much commitment have you got? How much do you want to put into it? When you want to do it just for fun, then it becomes it becomes great and it's fun and it's wonderful. It's great to develop. But if you want to take it more seriously and you want to take it into work, that's when you really have to pull your finger out and do your best, right, Kay?
Well, I have a different view on that, Jason. So
Well,
if you, I think that's the one thing that we don't always see eye to eye on, Jason. But
well,
if
so
you
you
look
so you
at
believe mediums are born?
no,
Oh
but I thought that's what you were saying.
no,
What?
I'm
No,
saying I'm
yes,
saying
yes.
mediums are not born.
No, I'm saying I believe that they are born because
Ah,
if you look at the work of Silver Birch, and if you go back and look at some of the other pioneers and the work that they've done, you'll see that they all talk about the gift of spirit, and that we make this decision in the spirit world when we're still in the other world before we come back to earth. We make that decision that we are to follow the path of the medium, and when we make that decision, then we are given the gift of the spirit. So that our six senses can be raised to a level to where we are able to communicate with the spirit world. So we all have, this is my belief, but we all have the ability to use our psychic tools. We all come to earth with the psychic tools. But if you look at the research that the pioneers have done, they say only a select few have the gift of the spirit that are able to raise their vibration and have that ability to raise everything to a level to where they are able to commune with the discarnate.
yeah,
So that's my
I'd
belief.
beg to disagree with you on there, Kay. Let's have a debate about that. Because I'd be like, everyone's got a chakra system, everyone's got it, everyone's got a third eye. If it was only for the select few, then the people that are all born today wouldn't need a third eye. They wouldn't need that energy. We could just make them, it's like
so
then they wouldn't need that ability, you know?
so so you guys have been, so here's the deal. You've been given two perspectives on that. So your homework then is to um, do your research and make a decision. Go back and look at what the pioneers before us discovered. Take a look at what Jason is saying as well. and see what conclusions that you come to.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's good to look at. I mean the way it's just this is just my point of view, and Kay's entitled to hers. I
Right.
don't always look at the past to see where modern mediumship is going. I look at the future, and then I look at what the possibilities are. And I think everybody has the possibility to do mediumship and to have some connection with the spirit world. That's just my belief. Like I said, not everyone would be, a superstar medium or bringing their mediumship to working as a demonstrating medium.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has the psychic ability, but not everyone's going to be working as a psychic. So that's what I'm saying. And then when you go back
Yeah.
in history and you go back to what we used to be like, we used to be really more aware of those abilities. But yeah,
Yeah.
guys, so you've got two
I do
different views.
agree with you, Jason, in that I believe that we all have that ability to feel our loved ones who've passed. I do believe that we sometimes have that feeling of that they are here and are with us. So I do believe that. We do have some questions, Jason.
Good,
Uh,
good.
Sue wants to know what other ways are there to connect with spirit besides sitting in the power?
Well, if you want to connect to spirit, you can use visualization techniques. People can connect to spirit. There is such a thing as dream mediumship. So you can say, "I'd like to connect to spirit in my dreams." You can make that decision, and you can say, "I'm gonna, meet them in dreams." That's possible. You could say, "I do it via meditation." That you say, "I'm going to go into meditation," and then through that visualization and meditation that you can contact the spirit world, or you can just raise your light above you and behind you. That's another technique through visualization that you can connect in that way. And another way is just to imagine that there's like a door opening from the spirit world and they're walking on in. And that's a visualization technique as well. So there's many different ways you can connect to the spirit world.
Good. So Dolores wants to know how can a student learn to trust? So we talked about this earlier, Jason. How can a student learn to trust what they get from spirit and not judge it?
Yeah, we've got this experiment. We've done this. I did this last weekend when I was giving a weekend in Germany, and I got students to experiment what is spirit mind and what is the mental mind. And once you get that sorted out, and basically it's just with the help of your guides, and we have put that into Mediums Academy in the foundation place of Mediums Academy. But it's a place where you ask your guide to show you something or to inspire you with something, and then try and create the same thing with your own mind and see how the difference is between the feeling of what comes from spirit and the feeling of what comes from your mental mind. Most people find out that from the spirit mind it's quicker, it's clearer, and other people find that the mental mind you really have to think about, what am I going to do? And you mentioned judge it. If your mental mind is judging something, then you know that you're in your mental mind and you're not in the spirit mind, right? Because the spirit mind never judges. The spirit mind is just the information, what you're seeing, what you're bringing through. We always say in this, give what you get, don't we, Kay? Um,
Yes,
give what you get, and normally it's the first things that pop into your mind that are right, and it's when you start to try to work on it with your mental mind that you get it wrong. Um,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, so we have to understand that we have our physical body, but we also have the etheric body, and it's in the etheric body is where our spirit resides, and it's through this etheric body that we work as mediums. So you, in the etheric body, you have the spiritual mind, the spiritual eyes, spiritual ears, and that's where information flows from the spirit world through us to give to our recipients. So we have to um, you know, become, you have to be aware of that, and you have to understand what that feels like in order for it to all kind of come together.
Yeah.
So we have to put our physical body to the side.
Yeah. I think
That,
another thing for Dolores, because you mentioned the word trust, Kay, I think
uh-huh.
practicing in good practice groups helps build
Yes.
trust because you get feedback from people, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know,
And it comes with time. Just over time, it will come eventually. I struggled with it, that's for sure, in the beginning. So, Mary wants to know, I'm having a problem knowing how many spirits are with me during a reading. I don't see or feel a group of them, but have to say to the first spirit, could you bring another person? And then sense them.
so that we're having like the multi-communicator thing that goes on. Yeah, it's having problems knowing how many spirits are with you. Well, you know, sometimes what can happen is a whole family turns up instead of just, one spirit, and it's becoming aware of that, and to work that one out is normally, like, let's say two people turn up and you think you've only got one, and then you're giving information, say, about mother, and then there's father there as well, and you might be saying things about mother, and somebody says, no, I can't understand that with my mother, and then you could, and if that happens 3 times, then there must be someone else is there. And when you just let your energy just raise out that little bit more, you become then aware, hold on, there's a gentleman here. Then you can say, you didn't understand that with mother, but I feel a gentleman here that you must understand that information with. Then of that, in that way you've got more than one communicator. There is
Mm.
another way as well, is just basically when you're starting to feel who's with you, and if you're good at seeing, you can see who's behind you. But if you're not good at seeing and you're only feeling it, you can get confused, right? Kay, you've had this happen before now, haven't you, with communicators?
Yeah. So, first, I want to just say that I truly believe that your spirit team that works with you, when they feel you're ready to have multiple communicators standing with you and around you at the same time, they will bring them in like that. Um, for me, the way that I worked through that was that year of silence, of me sitting in the silence with my guide. I didn't have any tutors. I didn't know where to go to learn about mediumship. And so that's why I started sitting with my guide, hoping that he would teach me. But one of the things that I just made up on my own was I would have my guides come in. This is, in the morning after I would meditate, or whenever. And I would have him move around the room, and I'd have to determine where he was moving. And then that kind of graduated, and then my family in the spirit world started coming in, and I would do that with them. But then I would have multiple people that would come in at the same time, and I would have to determine, okay, I've got my dad over here, he's in the left. I've got my granddad, he's in the back. I've got my guide, he's in the front. So I did this stuff all the time, and I believe, I didn't know what I was doing, but now that I look back on it, um, it definitely set me up for having multiple communicators. So I know when I've got somebody else that steps in, I can feel that subtle shift. I know that they're there, and I know they're on the left. And so
Yeah,
that's what I did to kind of help myself with that.
yeah.
If that makes sense.
So, Mary, also something you can do is ask your team, your spirit guides who work with you, to say, can we work on this? Can we actually work on this? Make
Yeah.
this a little bit more, clearer.
Hmm.
What I normally do as well, when I know there's more than one people, I'll say, hold on a minute. I feel that there's a bit of a crowd here, and then I'll just ask one to come forward, and I say to the people, just please forgive me if I slip off into someone else's energy here. But if you ask one to step forward and you're working with them and you get one no, just feel behind you and say, oh, I feel that the gentleman wants to speak now. And in that way, you're just learning the subtle feelings that come in. I must
Mhm.
say, even with me, some days is better than other days. You've got to, work with it. Um,
Right.
but like Kay said, you're ready for this. Otherwise, they wouldn't bring it. And when you're ready for one, they bring one. When you're ready for two, they bring two. And when you're ready for three, they bring three.
Right.
So it's just the progression in your mediumship.
One of the things that I did in when I was chatting with my guides, when this started happening in my readings, I had a conversation with my guides of how can we do this in a way so that it's easy for me to really distinguish between communicator one and communicator two. And so in the very beginning of learning how to work with multiples, it always worked out, and I feel that spirit helped organize all of this since after having this chat was I would either have a man on one side and a woman on the other side. So I could feel the difference between man and woman really easy. And then when it started being a woman and a woman, I would have a woman who was very shy, personality was one way, and the woman on the other side would be the total opposite. So I always had, you know, this yin and yang here where I could really tell them apart. But then it gradually got to where now I can have similar people. I can have more than two now, but it started off that way. It started off slow. So chat with your guides about that as well. Is there something that we can do to make it a little easier for me so I know communicator one feels this way and communicator two feels this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, really good to have you here. We're coming towards the end. I know there's, you might have a question that's on your mind. You say, I wouldn't mind asking that question. If you've enjoyed what we've been talking about, do like it. Subscribe to our channel, follow us, and we're going to be doing more of these. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you liked it, got any more questions before we finish up? Let us know. Okay, this has been really enjoyable. Actually, this has worked.
I
First,
know.
yeah,
I'm excited, guys, because now I don't have to edit.
yeah.
Because when we did it on Zoom, I'd have to edit, and it's time consuming. So I do like this. So if you like doing the Zoom, please give us a like on here so that we know that, and we'll continue.
Okay,
Also, just
okay. This is YouTube.
YouTube. What did I
Okay,
say?
you said Zoom.
Oh, sorry. YouTube. Y'all know what I meant. They know what I
Yeah.
meant. They're intelligent. Um,
Well,
so for those of you who are new, because I'm seeing some new names here, Jason and I do workshops as well, and on Friday the 13th.
yeah. Friday the 13th, we're doing the enrichment of mediumship, or the enrichment of the medium.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuesdays is our live day. So around about this same time on Tuesdays, we will be back.
Right.
In this very way, that we will be posting a new link, but we will be back. So if you've subscribed to our YouTube channel, you will get a notification when we are live. That's something that happens. You get a little ping. So don't forget to click the bell and get the notifications as well.
Right.
We're doing the enrichment, aren't we? Enrichment of mediumship.
Yep. And I've posted the link down below in comments if anyone's interested in doing that workshop. It's a 3-hour workshop via Zoom. We do work you hard. There's lots of exercises that you have to do in breakout rooms. So it's always it's very fast paced. It'll go by quickly, but it's from 12 noon Eastern time, New York time, to 3 New York time. Jason works out of Germany.
Yep.
So it's a different time zone.
Different time zone. Hey, Latifu, you made it. Well done.
Did she make it?
She made it. Yay.
The screen's been frozen since she was on Zoom.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, this is where we can, just bring people together and people with like minds together. So we're looking forward to hearing more from you guys. If you've got any questions, please just put them in under this video. And if you do that, we can use those questions for the next video that we're going to be doing next week on Tuesday, same time.
Yep. Perfect. All right. All right, guys. Latifa is proud of herself. We're proud of you too, Latifa. All right, guys. This has been fun. I hope you got a lot out of it. And I hope to see you guys back next week.